Welcome to AI News Digest 2026-06-22. Today's 5 stories. Story 1, Large Language Models e Cybersecurity, fiducia, vulnerabilità e nuovi scenari di rischio. Story 2, LLM-as-a-Judge Evaluation Methods. Story 3, Stanford HAI Merges with Stanford Data Science Initiative. Story 4, Tencent tests new AI assistant Xiaowei inside WeChat. Story 5, Exploring the potential of large language models in nutrition behavior prediction. Story 1, Large Language Models e Cybersecurity. Fiducia, vulnerabilità e nuovi scenari di rischio. Tencent, one of China's largest and most influential technology companies, is reportedly testing a new artificial intelligence assistant called Xiaowei embedded directly inside WeChat. If you're not familiar with WeChat, think of it as a super app that combines messaging, mobile payments, social media, and an entire ecosystem of mini programs, all used by more than 1.3 billion people every month. That scale makes this development genuinely significant. Rather than launching a standalone AI chatbot that users would need to seek out and download separately, Tencent is taking the smarter distribution route, bringing the AI directly to where its users already spend enormous amounts of their digital lives. This is a major strategic advantage. Competitors like Baidu with its ERNIE bot or ByteDance with Dubao must work hard to build new user habits, while Xiaowei would be instantly accessible to WeChat's existing massive user base. The move reflects a broader pattern in China's AI industry, where the major tech giants, Tencent, Alibaba, Baidu, and ByteDance, are racing to integrate large language model capabilities into their flagship consumer products. Tencent has been developing its own Hunyuan Foundation model and has invested in numerous AI startups, and Xiaowei appears to be the consumer-facing payoff of that strategy. The implications extend beyond market competition. WeChat's role in Chinese daily life means that an embedded AI assistant would have access to an extraordinary breadth of user context, from conversations to commerce. That raises important questions around data privacy, regulatory compliance under China's strict AI content rules, and the societal impact of AI-mediated communication at billion-user scale. It's worth noting that full article details were unavailable due to a technical rendering issue, so some specifics about Xiaowei's capabilities and timeline remain unclear. But the headline alone signals that the battle for AI assistant dominance in China is moving decisively into the super app arena, and Tencent, with WeChat as its anchor, may be uniquely positioned to win that fight. Story 2, LLM-as-a-Judge Evaluation Methods. A new study published in Frontiers in Nutrition in June 2026 asks a fascinating and practical question. Can a large language model like ChatGPT-4o actually be used as a scientific tool to predict human eating behavior from survey data? The researchers, based primarily at the Indian Agricultural Research Institute in New Delhi, set out to find out, and their findings offer a genuinely interesting window into where AI analytics might be headed in public health and nutrition science. The study surveyed 914 undergraduate students at agricultural universities across India between late 2024 and early 2025, using an established healthy eating behavior scale to assess their dietary patterns. They then fed this survey data into ChatGPT-4o using carefully designed prompts, asking the model to generate predicted behavior scores, essentially using the AI as a data analyst. They compared those AI-generated predictions against both the actual observed scores and against a traditional statistical model called ordinary least squares regression. Here's what they found. The AI's predictions got noticeably better as the amount of training data increased. When a larger share of the dataset was used to inform the model, its predicted scores were statistically indistinguishable from the real observed scores. That's a meaningful result. It suggests that with enough data, an LLM-assisted workflow can produce predictions that hold up to statistical scrutiny, without requiring advanced coding or statistical expertise from the researcher. The study also found that the factors the AI identified as driving healthy eating behavior matched well with what previous scientific literature already knew about the topic, which adds credibility to the approach. But there are real limitations to acknowledge. The sample is exclusively Indian agricultural university students, so we can't assume these results generalize broadly. The reliance on ChatGPT 4.0, a commercial proprietary system, raises questions about reproducibility and data privacy. And the authors themselves acknowledge that larger, more diverse datasets would strengthen the findings further. Still, this research points toward an exciting possibility: AI tools that make sophisticated behavioral prediction accessible to researchers who lack traditional statistical resources, potentially transforming how nutrition science gets done in resource-limited settings around the world. Story 3. Stanford HAI Merges with Stanford Data Science Initiative. Stanford University has announced a significant institutional restructuring. Its human-centered AI institute, known as Stanford HAI, is merging with the Stanford Data Science Initiative. The move brings together two of the university's most prominent AI and data-focused organizations, and the people behind it, Fei Li, James Landay, and former Stanford President John Hennessy, are framing it as a deliberate strategic bet on academic openness at a time when AI development is increasingly dominated by a handful of large technology companies. The phrase they're using to describe the vision is team science at scale. That framing matters. For most of its history, academic AI research has been organized around small research groups led by individual professors. That model has produced extraordinary science, but it is increasingly struggling to keep pace with the resources and coordination capacity of industry AI labs at companies like Google DeepMind, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Meta. By merging these two institutions, Stanford is trying to build a research entity with the critical mass, disciplinary breadth, and collaborative infrastructure to tackle problems that require economists, ethicists, clinicians, and computer scientists working in coordination, not just in adjacent offices. Fei Li is one of the most globally recognized figures in AI, the creator of ImageNet and a foundational contributor to the deep learning revolution. Her involvement alongside Hennessy, who as former Stanford president helped build the very academic industry knowledge transfer model that defines Silicon Valley, signals that this is not a marginal reorganization. It is a considered response to a genuine tension. How does a research university remain an independent, credible, and generative voice in a field that is increasingly proprietary and concentrated? The answer Stanford seems to be proposing is to lean into what universities can do that companies cannot: publish openly, pursue long-horizon research, convene across disciplines, and speak without commercial conflicts of interest. For the AI safety research community in particular, a well-resourced and unified Stanford entity could become an important institutional voice in policy debates, standard setting, and public accountability conversations that need credible non-industry participants. The details of how this merger will work in practice, its governance, funding, and research priorities, will determine whether the vision translates into lasting influence. Story 4. Tencent tests new AI assistant Xiaowei inside WeChat. Tencent is piloting a new AI assistant called Xiaowei embedded within WeChat, powered primarily by WeChat's LLM large language model. This represents a major product integration of LLM technology into one of the world's largest messaging platforms. It signals continued expansion of AI assistants into consumer super apps in the Chinese market. Story 5. Exploring the potential of large language models in nutrition behavior prediction. A peer-reviewed study published in Frontiers in Nutrition investigates whether LLMs can predict nutrition-related behaviors in college students, contributing evidence to the growing body of research on LLM applications in health and behavioral science. The work is part of a broader trend of applying generalist LLMs to specialized domain prediction tasks. It provides empirical evidence rather than purely theoretical claims.